motherfucker.
Hold up, I hope y'all watching this shit.
First round, real quick.
People that are in those training rooms wouldn't know how good
Because
it
he
is.
just knocks dudes down real quick.
Now we're gonna get a hit. To me, I thought he was a con artist. Just based on the blood. Holy shit! What the hell just happened?
What's up, motherfuckers? Welcome to Easy Money, a sports betting show, Monday, December 20th, 2021. Can't believe this year's almost already over. This year's flown by. Got a big show today. We'll talk some NFL football. Got 2 games tonight, 2 games tomorrow. Basically football all week, heading right into Christmas. Can't beat that. Got 1 college football game bowl tonight, couple tomorrow. Got a pretty good slate of NBA games tonight. So we got a lot to talk about here on this Monday morning. Had a big weekend in sports. Bunch of NFL games this weekend with playoff complications. My Indianapolis Colts with a big win. We'll talk about that more at 1 o'clock today on GSR. But yeah, big week in sports. You had Jake Paul fought Tyron Woodley. We'll talk about that later today too. But here, before we get started talking about today's games and giving out some winners so we can win some of this easy money, don't forget we're live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern with Easy Money, a sports betting show. That show is also live on, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. We're also live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern with GSR Gonzo Sports Room. That show is also live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find both of those shows in podcast form on Apple Podcasts, Anchor Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Most places you listen to podcasts, you can find us. Follow us on social media. That's where we post any announcement about our show. We post our daily picks from Easy Money, a sports betting show on there. Any interview announcements, all of our show announcements go to our social media pages. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Gonzo Sports Room. You can find me, Chris Gonzalez, at Chris D. Gonzalez on Facebook. Chris Gonzalez at Gonzalez Sports on Twitter, or Chris Gonzalez on Instagram. Also, don't forget, check out our merch store, streamlabs.com/Gonzalez Sports/merch. You can see some of our t-shirts here behind us. We have our Easy Money t-shirt, our GWR t-shirt, which I got some more information about that coming later today. And we also have our GSR shirt back here. We have hoodies, beanies, hats, long sleeve tees. We had a new GWR shirt drop about 2 weeks ago. We're going to have a new Easy Money and a new GSR shirt dropping here probably right around the first of the year. Working on some of that stuff right now, so make sure you stay tuned and check that out. Also, check out our YouTube page. We have a lot of content on there. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons and hit the bell for notifications so you never miss when we go live. We'd greatly appreciate it. If you're watching on Facebook and Twitch, please hit the follow buttons, the like buttons. If you listen to us on the podcast, please rate and review. We'd appreciate the feedback. All right, but with that being said, let's jump into some sports today. We'll start in the NFL. Starting the NFL as we have 2 games tonight because we had a game get moved because of the COVID over the weekend. Cleveland's game had to get moved. Hell, I think they had like 22 or 14 of their 22 starters was going to be out to see the shit that happened with John Gruden. They do have Darren Waller's out for this game, and they're missing a couple other starters. But Waller is the big guy. He helps that offense go. He's a Carr's security blanket. Think he gets in a pinch, he's looking for Waller, and he don't have Waller right now. But the Browns are still decimated with COVID. Mayfield and Keenum both are still questionable for tonight. Depends on if they can get the negative test. So if they can't, Mullins will probably get his first start in like think 3 or 4 years. The Browns are 2-2 straight up their last 4 games. Like I said, they were down 14 of their 22 starters due to the COVID. Not sure how many of them will be back for tonight for the Browns, but even with that being said, man, it's a tough game for me to pick because the Raiders have looked so bad. But the Browns haven't looked great, even when they do have a lot of their starters. But the thing the Browns still do have is Nick Chubb. And Nick Chubb he's just a fucking beast. And the Raiders defense just hasn't been playing well. I like the Browns here at the plus 2.5. I just don't trust the Raiders at all. And I like the under the 40.5. I think this is going to be a defensive battle, low scoring game. But I would lean toward the Browns at the plus 2.5 and the under the 40.5 on this game. Next NFL game is tonight. We have at 8:15 Eastern. You have the Minnesota Vikings at the Chicago Bears. The Vikings are 6.5-point favorites on the road. They're minus 290 on the money line. The Bears are plus 235 on the money line. Over-under for this game is at 45. Man, that's hard to believe. The 6.5-point favorite on the road, that's a big favorite on the road. Especially with a Vikings team that hasn't been playing great themselves. I know the Bears haven't looked great, but neither have the Vikings. Vikings are 6-7 on the season. They have 12 games this season that have been decided by one possession, so by 7 or less. But they find ways to lose games. They'll get out to the lead, and then they find a way to let teams back in, and then they either win at the end or they lose at the end. The Bears are 4-9 on the season, and they haven't been much no better. I mean, they've been worse than the Vikings. Bears offense has been up and down. I think Matt Nagy's terrible. I've been saying that for years. I think he run Mitchell Trubisky, and I think he's going to, if the Bears keep having him hang around and they don't make a coaching change, he's going to run plus 6.5. Tonight we have tomorrow night we have the Washington football team at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 6.5-point favorites at home. They're minus 290 on the money line. Washington football team is plus 235 on the money line. Over-under for this game is at 42.5. I like the Washington football team here at the plus 6.5. We will talk more about these games tomorrow and give out our official picks. But I like the Washington football team defense. I'm not sold on the Eagles offense, and I think the Washington football team offense will be able to score some points on the Eagles. I like the Washington football team in that game. And then also tomorrow you have the Seattle Seahawks at the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are 7-point favorites at home, minus 330 on the money line. Seahawks are plus 265 on the money line. Over-under for this game is at 45.5. Wilson, I know they ain't been playing great, but they still do have Russell Wilson. I like the over the 45.5 in this game. Like I said, we'll talk more about these games tomorrow on Easy Money, a sports betting show tomorrow at 11. All right, next game I want to talk about tonight. Let's move over to some college football. As we have a bowl game tonight, and it looks like we have a couple games tomorrow. But tonight in the Myrtle Beach Bowl, you have Tulsa at Old Dominion. Tulsa is 8-point favorites. They're minus 320 on the money line. Old Dominion is plus 245 on the money line. Over-under for this game set at 54.5. Old Dominion is 6-6 on the season. Tulsa is 6-6 on the season as well. Old Dominion has won 5 straight coming into this game. Tulsa has won 3 straight coming into this game. One thing Tulsa does struggle with is turnovers. I like Old Dominion here at the plus 8. They've been hot, and I think they're going to stay hot. And I just don't think Tulsa's offense is going to be able to keep up with Old Dominion. I think Old Dominion's defense will be able to slow Tulsa down some. And I would lean toward the under the 54.5. All right, that's all the college football for tonight. So let's move over to the NBA. Move over to the NBA, and then we'll take a look at the early NFL lines for this week. All right, in NBA, we have the Philadelphia 76ers at the Boston Celtics. The Celtics are 3-point favorites. They're minus 154 on the money line. The Sixers are plus 130 on the money line. Over-under for this game's at 213.5. The 76ers are 15-15. The Celtics are also 15-15. Now, the 76ers average 106 points per game. They've lost 4 out of their last 5. This is a second game of a back-to-back for the 76ers as well. They're 1-6 are 1-6 ATS their last 7. For the Celtics, they average 108 points per game. They have Jaylen Brown back now, which is a big help, not just on the offensive side of the ball, but especially on the defensive side of the ball, because Jaylen Brown's a good defender, and he really makes a big difference in the Celtics defense when he's on the floor. The Celtics average 108 points per game. They are 2-4 their last 6. So they haven't been playing well at all. But being a second game of a back-to-back on the road, I lean toward the Celtics here at the -3. And I also like the over the 213.5 in this game. Next game we have is the Houston Rockets at the Chicago Bulls. Bulls are 7.5-point favorites at home. They're -300 on the money line. The Rockets are plus 245 on the money line. Over-under for this game is at 222.5. The Rockets are 10-20. The Bulls are 17-10. The Rockets beat the Pistons Saturday night. They are 10-3 ATS their last 13 games. Rockets got off to a terrible start, and then they won like 7 in a row. And they still ain't playing great, don't get me wrong, but they have been playing a lot better here lately. And like I said, they've covered the spread 10 times out of the last 13 games, and they average 106 points per game. The Bulls, Levine's going to be out, so that's their second leading scorer behind DeRozan. Bulls are 17-10 on the season, by the way. Bulls are 4-2 ATS their last 6. They average 108 points a game. All right. In this game, I lean toward the Bulls, but with missing Levine, 7.5 is too many points to give up. I do like the under the 222.5 in this game, but I'm not confident enough in the Rockets either to lay the 7.5 or to take the 7.5. But I do like the under the 222.5 in this game. All right, next game we have is the OKC Thunder at the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are 9-point favorites at home. They're -430 on the money line. OKC is plus 340 on the money line. Over-under for this game is at 212.5. The Thunder are 9-19 on the season. They beat the Clippers their last game. Paul George didn't play in that game for the Clippers. Thunders are just real inconsistent offensively, and they're okay on defense, but they're not a great defensive team as well. The Grizzlies are 19-11. They've won 10 of their last 11, and they're 9-2 ATS their last 11 games. So the Grizzlies have been hot coming into this game, but 9 points is just too many points for me to lay. I would. On this game, I like the over the 212.5. The big spreads in NBA suck because you get down at the end, they start shooting field goals, or not field goals, free throws and all that, and it's just the whole game can change toward the end of a basketball game. All right, next game is the Charlotte Hornets at the Utah Jazz. The Jazz are 11.5-point favorites at home. They're -700 on the money line. The Hornets are plus 500 on the money line. Over-under is at 236 for this game. The Hornets are 16-16 on the season. This is the second game of a back-to-back for the Hornets. They're 5-11 ATS their last 16 road games. The Jazz have lost 2 in a row. Jazz are 20-9 on the season. They've been playing well. Man, but 11.5 points is a lot of points. I don't know if is people missing for the Hornets or something. I thought Melo Ball was back. I like the under the 236 in this game, and I lean toward the Hornets at the plus 11.5. All right, next game we have the Sacramento Kings at the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors are 12.5 point favorites at home, minus 900, 16-14. They've lost 2 in a row. They're 4-9 ATS their last 12 games. I think the Spurs are. I like the Spurs here, but I think Paul George is going to be back for the Clippers. But the Clippers have been struggling as of late. The Clippers being at home, I lean toward the Clippers here, even though I like the Spurs. And the Spurs have been a little are better than what I think people give them, and they stay in games. But I like the but I'll lean toward the Clippers here at home. I like the under the 217 in this game is what I like the most. All right, let's take a look at the NFL. Let's take a look at some of the early lines coming into the next week of games. Because all these games are having playoff implications now because, man, there's so much parity in the NFL. I mean, you got a lot of these 7-6 teams that are right there for playoff spots. We've already talked about tonight's game. Let's get to week 15 here, or week 16. I mean, here we go. Thursday night starts off Thursday night with the 49ers at the Titans. The 49ers open up as 3.5 point favorites on the road. The Browns at the Packers. Packers are 7.5 point favorites right now against the Browns. Cardinals are 2 point favorites at home. Cardinals just came off a terrible showing against the Lions where they got beat. Colts are coming off a great showing where, well, I wouldn't say great. I would say good showing because they looked great in the first half and then struggled some in the second half. And then Jonathan Taylor sealed the deal with like a 70-yard touchdown run. But Colts at +2, I like the Colts on the money line. But as you can see, I'm a big Colts fan, so this is going to be a fun game for me because I'm Colts are my favorite team. And then my son is a diehard Arizona Cardinals fan, so it'll be a fun game to watch next Sunday. Then you have the Buccaneers at the Panthers. The Bucs are 11 point favorites on the road. Over/under is 44.5. To me, 11 points seems like a lot of points. We just watched the Bucs not scoring any points in the game. So to favor them as 11 against anybody is I wouldn't recommend that game as of right now. Then you have the Chargers at the Texans. Chargers are 10.5 point favorites in that game. I kind of like the Chargers there. Giants and Eagles. Eagles are 10 point favorites against the Giants. I think 10's too many. I don't think the Eagles are 10 points better than any team in the NFL, even the Giants. Ravens and Bengals. Bengals are 2.5 point favorites at home. That's going to be a good game. I wonder if Lamar Jackson's going to be back. But hey, I'll tell you what, Huntley played good for him. But I think the Bengals are going to pull out the win there. Lions at the Falcons. This is going to be a crazy game. Neither one of these teams have looked great. Falcons are 4.5 point favorites at home. I'm kind of leaning toward the Lions as of right now. Jags at Jets. Jets are 2.5-point favorites at home. This is a game that both these teams have been terrible. The Jags just fired their coach Urban Meyer. They seem like that. A lot of players seem like that was like a relief. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna lean toward the Jags as of right now, but I'm gonna see what the reports come out as like throughout the week. Then you have the Rams at the Vikings. This is probably going to be a close game come down to the end because that's what the Vikings do. But the Rams are 3-point favorites on the road here. Over-unders at 49.5. Again, if you're just joining us, we're going through some of the early lines for the NFL games for next week. We will dig a lot deeper in these games as the week goes on and as we get closer to Sunday. Tomorrow we'll talk about tomorrow night's games a whole lot. We'll break them down even more. Bills at the Patriots. The Patriots are 2.5-point favorites at home. And the over-under for this game is at 44.5. This is going to be a good game. I lean toward the Patriots, but just because the Bills haven't looked good their last few games at all. Bears and Seahawks. Seahawks are 7-point favorites at home. This is a game I want to see how the Bears look tonight before I go too crazy on this game. But I think 7 might be a little too much. Seahawks just haven't been playing great either. Over-under for this game's at 43.5. Broncos at the Raiders. The Raiders are 1.5-point favorites at home. I kind of like the Broncos in that game. Steelers at the Chiefs. Chiefs are 10-point favorites. I think 10's a little too much for the Chiefs, in my opinion. I kind of lean toward the Pittsburgh at the plus 10. Over-unders at 46.5. Washington football team at the Dallas Cowboys. They have the Cowboys as 10-point favorites at home. I like Washington in this game. 10 points is way too much. Washington's defense will be able to slow the Cowboys' offense down. And Heineke will be able to make enough plays to keep the football team in the game. Over-under for that game is at 47.5. Then you have the Dolphins at the Saints on Monday Night Football. The Saints are 3-point favorites at home. They're minus 164 in the money line. Over-under is 40.5. Saints are 3-point favorites at home. Saints are coming off a big win against the Bucs where the defense pitched a shutout. Dolphins have been playing pretty well here as of late as well. I think I lean toward the Dolphins here. I lean toward the under the 40.5. But all right, before we get out of here, let's get to my picks of the day. All right, in college football tonight, I like Old Dominion. Let me make sure if the spread's changed, but I think it was plus 8.5. If I remember right. But I'm gonna make sure it's plus 8. So like Old Dominion plus 8. I like the Cleveland Browns plus 2.5. I like the Bulls Thunder game under 222.5. I like the Grizzlies Hornets over 212.5. I like the Warriors Spurs under 217. Or excuse me, Spurs and Clippers under 217.5. All right, that's my picks of the day. So I like Old Dominion plus 8. Cleveland Browns plus 2.5. I like Bulls Thunder under 22.5. The Grizzlies and Hornets over 212.5. And the Spurs Clippers under 217.5. All right. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. But yeah, don't forget we're live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern with Easy Money and Sports Betting Show. Come join us. We're giving out winners. That show's live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. We're also live at 1 p.m. Eastern with GSR Gonzo Sports Room. That's our sports talk show. That show's live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch as well. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. You can find both those shows, Easy Money and Sports Betting Show and Gonzo Sports Room, on Apple Podcast, Anchor Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, Pocket Cast, Breaker Cast, most places you listen to podcasts, you can find us. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Gonzo Sports Room. That's where we post all the information about all of our shows. Our daily sports picks for Easy Money and Sports Betting Show get posted there. Interview announcements, any show announcements at all get posted on our social media. So follow us at Gonzo Sports Room, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Or you can follow me, Chris Gonzalez, at Chris D. Gonzalez on Facebook, Chris Gonzalez at Gonzalez Sports on Twitter, and Chris Gonzalez on Instagram. Check out our YouTube page. Please hit that subscribe button. Got a lot of content on there. We got anything from sports talk to UFC stuff to pro wrestling stuff. Got a big variety of stuff on there. We broadcasted live now from, I think, 5 or 6 independent professional wrestling shows. We were just in Lafayette over the weekend. If you haven't watched that show, go watch it. You won't be disappointed. It was a great card. Check out our merch store, streamlabs.com/Gonzalez Sports /merch. Got t-shirts, hoodies, beanies. You can see some of the t-shirts behind me here. We greatly appreciate it. Go on there and get you some gear. Also, we have a donation page at that same link. If you'd like to donate to the show to help the show grow, we'd appreciate that as well. Don't forget, tomorrow we got a big, when I say big, I mean big episode of GWR Live tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. As pro wrestler Eric Valkyrie joins the show. I saw him wrestle a couple weeks ago down in Bloomington. He was in a Chicago street fight, got cut up pretty good. We'll talk to him about that. We'll talk to him about the future shows he has coming up. I think next show he's going to be on that I know of is January 8th in Bloomington, Indiana for MPG Wrestling. You can find out more about MPG Wrestling at their page. Go check it out. They have a stack card for the 8th in GWR Gonzo Sports Room. We will be there live on January 8th at the MPG Wrestling with a live stream and live commentary. Don't forget, join us here in just a little over an hour at 1 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch for GSR Gonzo Sports Room. We'll recap what happened over the weekend in the NFL. We'll talk Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. We'll talk. We got a whole lot of different topics we're going to talk about. I appreciate you guys joining us today. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons, the follow buttons, rate and review the podcast. We appreciate all your support. Hopefully we'll see you guys at 1 o'clock for GSR Gonzo Sports Room. If not, we'll see you guys in the morning. Hope you're getting off to a great start to this holiday week. If you're traveling, be safe. We will see you guys here in about an hour, or we'll see you in the morning. Peace.